being concussed, delivering the concussive blow, it's a time of year where either can see a player miss huge games of footy in the AFL and the NRL. First off, it's Collingwood's Braden Maynard, sent straight to the tribunal for this smother gone wrong on Angus Brayshaw. Jono, where are we at with this? It started early today, 4 o'clock I think they got in.
Yeah, so the latest so far, Tony, is that Collingwood were arguing that Maynard did not bump, which we all expected. It's brace versus bump. They're saying it was a football act. Maynard and the Pies say Brayshaw veered into his lane, which I'm not sure why they went down that track, because I think it's just a kicking action that makes him step that way regardless, just because of the action that he's going through. They're saying this was an unfortunate accident in their view. They've been deliberating now for 30 minutes. So the Pies say Maynard had so little time to react and that Maynard's leap was predominantly vertical rather than forward. It was Brayshaw coming into him and nothing else Maynard could have reasonably done in the circumstances. So I think some of those argument points make me sort of question a little bit. Like, I don't know why they've gone down that sort of track.
This is, I mean, it's one of those things. The whole aim has been to protect the head of players. Here we have an incident where he's running forward. He's knocked out for 2 minutes. Now, we don't know whether that's individually. He's had some issues, obviously, but he's knocked out for 2 minutes. Does he not have the responsibility to avoid his hitting him in the head?
Yeah, so I don't think you could avoid him in the situation that he put himself in by coming forward to try and smother the ball and the momentum with that. He was always going to, in line with Brayshaw,
the turn of the shoulder in, though.
So I actually think that he's turned to brace rather than physically bump. And that's what I thought they may have argued, because there's been incidents throughout this year where players have actually gone to the tribunal, they've been charged by the MRO, gone to the tribunal and actually got off the charge because they've argued they braced in a contest rather than bumped in the contest. So I thought they may have gone down that kind of line rather than some of the descriptions that we're being sort of fed through at the minute.
If Maynard is found not guilty from the judiciary, do you see the AFL appealing this?
Probably not. I think it had to get to this point where it had to be at the tribunal anyway, because it just divided the footy world. And I think the AFL made the right call in stepping in so that we can get an outcome and an answer from this. And
I want to get...
Go, Tony.
I want to get your, because you've got a few other examples I wanted to get to. But Brandy, I just wanted to get your take on this, because it's not just an AFL thing. It's cross codes, isn't it? Certainly in the NRL, it's been trying to stamp that out. What would that be in an NRL match if a player's kind of charged down at a kick?
Well, it's late. Yeah. It's late and you've hit the player in the head. So the onus is on the defender. You can't... I don't know where the argument of he changed his line, the kicker. Yeah. And in normal speed it happens so quick, but slow motion, nothing ever looks good in slow motion. So there's no time, but the onus in league, it's on the defender. Yep. It's careless or it's reckless, whichever one you want to look at it. So he would be... He'd get a suspension. See, that's late. Like in league, that's way late. The ball's gone. The ball's already gone. And even though he's in his, he's leaping as the kick happens, well, you can't do that. You know that you can't hit a kicker after the ball's left his foot. So
weeks.
You'd get a month. And I did a quick straw poll amongst the other league boys in here tonight for NRL 360 in 3 to 4 weeks.
So would that even be the case if he didn't turn to bump, but he just still made contact in some ways? Because I think if the AFL, if he didn't turn to bump and he actually just hit him front on, Uzi, and just put his hands all over him and still put him down, that would be accepted. But it's not accepted if he still knocks him out by an accidental hand to the head or things like that.
See, we're completely different, where you've got to go in making a regulation tackle. You can't just run in shoulder.
No.
Because that's a shoulder charge.
Yes.
So the rules in the games are so completely different that, that would just automatically be... A player that hit a kicker that late might be sent off. But he'd be looking at 3 or 4 weeks if he was a lefty.
And Brad, has Maynard, he has tried to apologise, hasn't he? He did go to Brayshaw's house, is that correct?
Yeah, he did. So straight after the incident, he apologised on field, but then Jack Vine and a few others didn't accept that on the night, and that's fair enough. They were trying to fight the fight. But, he did. He went to the house, took some flowers and a bottle of wine as well. I think he tried to clear the air as soon as possible rather than... it was probably playing on his mind. He wanted to sort of... You just assume, go there and sort of say, sorry, I didn't mean it. But it's still the act that... Regardless of that, it's still the act that we're discussing to this point. And look, either way, the head's the most important part in world sport at the moment, not just here in Australia and the sports that we're discussing. You've got to protect the head in every
And even
fashion.
if there's mitigating circumstances,
Yes.
the head contact trumps everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course we're talking about very important games of football.
Well, and that's the other element that goes with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Finals footy, they're straight to a prelim, so if he gets one, which they won't bring it down, I don't think, and give him one, just so he misses a prelim and gets the opportunity to play in a grand final. It's a big suspension, or it's nothing.
You mentioned, right, there are other codes. What codes deal with it in the Rugby World Cup? This is a less dramatic effort from Argentina, Santiago. This is a yellow card. Now, obviously, he gets up. I don't know whether it's his hip or his back that actually gets to go through and hit the kicker, but he's immediately gets the yellow card 10 minutes in the bin.
And that would be if his elbow accidentally gets him there, just say the elbow which he brings in clips him there, and he's knocked out, then that would instantly be a more severe penalty. So the outcome does play a part in these.
I think you can just bring it all the way back and say, if you're going to charge down, that there's a risk. And so you have to be very careful. You know the rules.
Yeah.
You know there's a risk. So you have to be more careful when you charge down.
And that's a really good point, Richie, because we rarely see it charge down in AFL, if that makes sense. It's normally coming from the side, and a late hit on the kicker normally happens from the side where you've bumped them. It's not necessarily a charge down that you see. So it may be a change that we need.
Do you think this could be career-ending for Brayshaw? We know he's had 5 or 6 concussions previously.
Well, his brother's come out and spoken about the fact that he may get some brain scans at the end of the season. What that looks like now, whether that's he plays another game and then comes back if he's feeling okay and passing all the tests and feels like he can play. But I think it's just an assessment that has to happen regardless. And I think the Brayshaw family will do that. They're pretty cautious with these sort of things. He's had 6, I think, now concussions. Wears the helmet for that reason. So I think they'll do and run as many tests as they need to make sure he's healthy.
All right.
Yeah.
Any more action from the tribunal, we'll let you know. You've obviously got the phone there. You're the man in charge. Just let me
Okay, no worries.
as soon as you know, I'll know, then you'll know. That's how it works. The plus side for the Pies is that superstar Nick Dacos. Now, he looks like he would be likely, I think, and ready to go for the prelim final.
Well, I just saw an Instagram post saying, see you in the prelim. Yeah. So, I don't know, he's starting to move a lot better and sharper. And that's the key, I think, for Nick Dacos, is that he has to have that sharpness in his step. If he hasn't got that, then he's not going to be able to perform to the level that he wants to. And that's the key element here.
All right, let me close my eyes while we show you the amazing fan reaction to Carlton's first finals win in 10 years. This was... The joint was rocking, wasn't it?
It was out of control, seriously. 92,500 people, probably 85,000 of those were Carlton fans. And there were 4 massive roars in the game. Their first goal of the game was like, whoa, hang on, what's happening here? And then Curnow kicks one, they all love him. Paddy Cripps, the skipper, inspirational, kicks one. And they went up again. And it got louder and louder. But the last one, because there was so much, it was so tense in the stadium. The Swans were coming back. They had some opportunities to pinch the game. And Carlton fans were just hanging on for that siren to sound. And when it did, they just let it all out. And the MCG shook. It was so bizarre to be there and experience
I
that.
hated the Swans losing, but for the fairy tale of the final series, it's great to have them in there, Carlton.
Well, it's massive now because this weekend they'll fill the stadium again. Carlton v Melbourne on Friday night. There'll be 92,000 plus again, hopefully a few more, and it's going to be a big weekend of footy.
And what a turnaround for Michael Voss. I mean, it wasn't early on in the year, people were thinking he's gone, and now the team's top 6.
That's amazing, isn't it? Hopefully that calms people down in the future too. If a club's going poorly, when there's a little bit of expectation around them, just give them a little bit of time to see if they get it right, because Michael Voss has proved that. Adam Kingsley has proved that from GWS this year.
All right, let's go north with our token.
No, it's not going to change.
We have our token Queenslander with us.
Go the Lions.
The Lions were good. Port have maybe a little bit the gases. Well, is it empty? I'm not sure, but certainly the Lions. Is it going off up there, was he?
It'd have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we are the greatest bandwagoners in the world. So I know it. If I'm driving out on a Saturday night and the Lions are playing and I can't get anywhere, the Lions are doing well. And when they're not, it's empty. So, yeah. We're going great guns.
Brad, the Lions are going to have a home prelim. We know they've got such a phenomenal record at home. If they win that game, then go to Melbourne, how do you see them? Because they have a tendency to not do as well when they get to the big game.
Yeah, the MCG hasn't been a great venue for them in recent times, and they will probably play Collingwood there if they do make it. They'll have to overcome Carlton or Melbourne, which, you know, they'd be favourites for that, no question. It'd be a tough ask. I think more against Melbourne for them than maybe it will against the Blues. But yeah, they for me, I think they make the grand final from this position. It's just whether they can get it right on the MCG, biggest day against, you know, the biggest club in Melbourne.